Yeah, we are live now, sir.
We are live?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are doing really well, and we have a good and a sweet reason to kind of disturb you at this particular odd hour. And why we are having this particular live session as of now is because it is my extreme honor, privilege, and uh, I'm just too excited and too exhilarated to share with you that we have with us Dr. Armaan Saith. Dr. Armaan has just got a rank of 23 in the just few hours back declared results of the INICET. And it is such a pleasure for me as a teacher to know him for quite some years now. Congratulations, Dr. Armaan.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
I would not be limiting myself to congratulating Dr. Armaan only, but I would rather extend the congratulations to his family as well, especially his sibling and his parents. And since Dr. Armaan is from Maulana Azad Medical College, so would like to give a sweet pie of the cake to all the faculties over there as well and to his batchmates for the simple reason that he has made all of us proud. So a big round of applause to each one of them for having contributed to your success, Dr. Armaan.
Yes, sir. Definitely. All of them have played an important role in my.
How is the feeling of getting a double-digit rank, Armaan, and that too a rank of under, I would say, 25, especially in a very prestigious exam like the INICET, which is a very coveted exam so far as our country is concerned.
Yes, sir. I was not expecting a rank under 100, let alone in the 20s. So yeah, when I saw the result, I was surprised, and I'm really happy to get this rank.
So is there anything special that you have done to get that kind of a rank, Armaan, or would you say that it is a kind of a consistent preparation and maybe it was, as they say in cricket as well, it was your day and it was a right pitch ball and you just hit it with the right
Yes,
force?
I think I've been consistent over the years, and I wouldn't say that it was something I did that was special that I did, but yes, definitely the luck on the day of the exam played an important role. And also, I think I was consistent throughout my MBBS years, and so that knowledge definitely helped during the exam because the paper this time was really atypical and the questions were a bit unexpected. So, so that's why I think the UG knowledge helped a lot, not just specifically what I would have studied before the exam.
I think Dr. Armaan, Sparsh sir is making a very important point that this INICET examination, I would say it was a bit tougher and more on the conceptual side. So Armaan very well said that not only the preparation you did in the internship, but the UG time preparation also played a big role. So, I mean, if you were to give some kind of suggestion for your juniors that if you are really aiming for an exam like INICET, how to build up your concepts. So how would you go about it? What would you suggest your juniors?
So I think in a college like MAMC, our internship was very hectic. So
Right.
just to say that, just to prepare an internship was very difficult. But I think if you're consistent throughout your UG days and just studying well for the college exams and also our practical, so I think that gives a good edge to people who have studied well since the very beginning, as compared to someone who is starting just an internship or after that. So that makes a big difference, I think, because even though the end time preparation may not be as good, but the previous knowledge really helps in during the exam time.
And you also appeared for the last INICET, November INICET?
Yes, sir. Last year's May INICET, yes, sir.
Okay, so after May INICET, you are giving this examination. And
yes, sir.
So rank last time, Dr. Armaan?
So in INI, I got a rank of 9 last year.
All right. So you have been consistently in a 25, right?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. So this is an important question that, we will tell the reason why Armaan appeared for INIC again later on in the interview, but continuing to have such great rank over a period of 1 year in itself shows that, how deep your knowledge must be. When you talk about an examination like NEET versus an examination like INICET, do you see a significant difference between these two?
So I think up until now, there has been a trend that NEET asks a wide variety of topics, even though it might not go in a lot of depth into those topics, but it still asks them in quite some detail. But as compared to AIMS, which has been traditionally been asking a few topics, but then it goes into great detail of depth in those questions. So I think that's been the traditional difference. And this time also, I think the topics, a lot of them were repeated, although the questions were a bit atypical in those topics, but the topics were pretty much the same. I think they were much more clinical and based on those very topics that have been asked before.
That is very true. Sparsh, we have been seeing this trend that AIMS tends, INICET tends to talk about the same topics. Like in psychiatry, I keep on saying that if it's an INIC paper, they would talk a question, they would give a question on alcohol, right? And Armaan is making a very valid point that the topics remain the same, but they tend to go deeper inside. So conceptual understanding would also play a significant role. At the same time, PYQs, as all of us have been saying, across the platform, across all the teachers, that PYQs, and at the end of the day, it tends to decide. It tends to be the decider in all the examination, right? So, Dr. Armaan, the question that continues to be being asked from the toppers again and again. It's a very important question, preparation-wise also. How to ensure that the bigger subjects like medicine, surgery, which are like very vast, never-ending subjects, how to create a balance between such big subjects and then the small, shorter subjects like psychiatry, anesthesia, forensic. So, what was your thought about? What was your strategy about this particular thing?
I think these subjects are such that if we try to finish them from start to beginning, it's very difficult to get a hold of the complete subject. Like I would never say that I started the medicine from the page 1 of my notes and then completed till the end and then moved on. So I think I just went on topic by topic in each of the big subjects and tried to complete the short subjects in between, because even though they are shorter, but they have a lot of value in the exam. Because when all of them are combined together, I think those questions are much higher scoring because the syllabus is much less, but then they are much more higher scoring and can help you boost your rank. So I think I did my the major subjects, but I broke them into smaller pieces so that I could complete the shorter subjects also in between.
Armaan, you have been a student of Sparsh sir and GRG sir, and you have been in touch with them for so many years. Pathology as a subject, pharmacology as a subject, the basic subjects which make the foundation. What is your thought about it? How important are they, even when we are attempting a question of say medicine, but the base remains pathology and pharmacology. So what is your thought on that particular issue?
So I think these two subjects, pharmacology and pathology, are the base with which we study at most of our third and final year subjects. And I think it was extremely important to have a good base in them so that I could do well in my other subjects too. And I think Sparsh sir and GRG sir really helped in that. I attended their classes in my second year, and I think I was able to do well both in my college exams also, and also still derive a lot of knowledge from the notes that I made at that time. And I think even till date, all the questions that are there, they have some link to pathology or pharmacology in some way. So I think that knowledge still helps even today.
So even if you're a first year student or a second year student, having a sound knowledge is going to help you a lot later on when you appear for the entrance examination. So we should always keep that thing in the mind. And any of our students who are watching this interview or who are in their first year or second year, especially should keep this thing in mind, that path, pharma, micro, physio, and at all of them, make your base so strong that later on it becomes much easier. Another important question, Dr. Armaan, many of our students tend to have this complaint that continuing to study at that level, at that higher level for a longer period of time is very difficult. And we have been seeing you do it consistently. So how do you do that? How do you, first of all, avoid the burnout? And then how do you ensure that your motivation level is so high that you continue to deliver such fantastic results?
So I think that it is important to not take the stress of the exam per se and just worry about the results. I think I just try to keep my concept strong and not worry too much about the results. And I think that helps you stay focused and not just think about the result. And if you just keep studying and stay focused on the subjects, then it helps to avoid burnout and just stay focused.
So certain questions are repeatedly asked by the students. For how many hours would you study in a day? What is your usual duration of study? Are you somebody who goes for long stretches and then takes breaks, or do you prefer 40-45 minutes periods, 40-45 minute sessions? So can you share your strategy with your juniors?
So I don't sit at a very long stretch and study. I would study for an hour and then take about 15-20 minutes break. Then I would study for another hour and then take similarly 15-20 minutes break. I think that helps me to assimilate what I've studied and not feel tired after like a long session. And I think that helps me retain the things I study for a longer period of time. But then everyone has their own strategies. So I think everyone should do whatever works best for them. This is what works for me. This is what I found out over time. So this is what I follow.
But I'm quite interested in knowing what do you do in those 15-20 minutes when you take a break?
So I would just hang around with some friends or just have coffee or listen to music.
Listen to music. So Sparsh, this is something very important. I think I have seen your videos also. You keep on talking about these things. After a study session, what you do should be helping you in unwinding. Many times students do a study session and then on the same phone screen they start watching something. So you're not giving rest to your eyes or brain. It's important to unwind. So music is a great thing, or talking to somebody is a great thing. So this is one key lesson that I think students can take from this interview is have 1.5 hour study session, but what you do in that break is also equally important to keep you fresh for the next session.
May I also add over there that I think this is something that we have been telling and talking about with a lot of students since for quite some time. I mean, I think 16-17 years is not a short span of time where we have been in touch with the students and we have been blessed by them. But
Right.
I have been always talking about the fact, see, one thing is that when any student, no matter what the exam he or she is preparing for, is likely to take a break, I've always suggested to go in for audio breaks rather than a video break.
Very nice.
Listen to your favorite song, maybe, walk around a bit. But then if you kind of increase your screen time, you actually are increasing your eye fatigue, and that ocular fatigue and the kind of distractions then you get are more likely to hamper with your studies. So better thing would be just close your eyes, listen to your favorite song, meditate, whatever. I mean, I'm not a judge on over what is to be heard over there. And the second thing is, as he rightly made a mention of, you might as well take a small break, have a small chit chat with your friends, and you can have some amount of academic as well as non-academic discussions, and then that is going to be a good enough refreshment. The other thing that Dr. Armaan highlighted is something that a lot of people who were available at the ORR and the BTR sessions were also aware that it's the same sentiment which Dr. Ravi Sharma also echoed when he made mention of the fact that a lot of people are underperforming for the simple reason that they have a fear of failure. But once you are not thinking about that fear of failure, then the chances of actual failure is going to be minimal.
Correct.
It is the anxiety part of it which actually hampers your the preparation, and then you get distracted and you get off track, and that is what is going to be then forming that bad or the negative vicious loop.
Right.
So definitely, I mean, staying on a good positive note and giving your best shot without worrying too much about what is going to happen is one of the important ingredients which is going to be the deciding factor.
Correct, sir. Armaan, another question I have for you. So you are a topper. You have been getting such stupendous results all throughout. So is it true that toppers never have a bad day? They never feel demotivated? They never feel tired?
No, so that's not true. I think there have been times where I did feel that continuing is a bit hard and always thought of alternatives. But I think that's just what you think when you're feeling a bit low and a bit demotivated. But then as soon as I get my motivation back or just do something for a break, so then everyone has a burnout. So I think it's better to take a break at that time and then just leave studying for that bit and just focus on your health. And I think after that, then once you feel refreshed, then all your motivation comes back.
Yes, did you have any particular strategy to kind of get motivated again during the tough times?
So whenever I used to feel burnt out, so I just used to leave studying for that time and just relax for a day or two, not focus on studying on those days, and just do the things that I feel relaxing. And
Right.
so then after a couple of days, I would just get my motivation back after that. So.
Sparsh, that's a very important point. Many students feel demotivated and then they get stressed about the fact that they are feeling stressed. It's a vicious cycle. So as Armaan very nicely pointed out that if you're having bad days, just take a break of a day or two. Just snap out of that negative vicious cycle and probably you'll be in a better state of mind. So wonderfully said.
Armaan, what would be the contribution of your peers so far as your success is concerned? Because of course, I mean, for those of you who are watching this particular interview, I can just kind of share that inside story that I know a lot of people who are in the very close group of Armaan, and all of them are doing really exceedingly well. Not because of the fact that they were academically good, but more important than that, that they are genuinely very good human beings, and they always had, a larger mission. It was never about getting a good number of marks or getting distinctions or getting single-digit ranks. It was always about acquiring knowledge, and that too in the best possible conceptual way, and then doing something really good for the society. But I mean, how would you rate the significance of the people around you in your preparation?
So I think like my group of friends and the people who I studied with, we never really had any sort of competition against each other. It was more of that we would just enjoy our time in the classes that we attended, and then even when we studied, so we would just have like discussions of how we are doing. But it was never we never like built any pressure on each other. So it was always just a motivation to one another that yes, the other person is studying, so we should also continue to study. So it was never stressful. It was always fun to just hang around with them and just discuss about the studies and about other things also. And so it was always uplifting. And I think that is very important because I don't think I know anyone who studies alone for a very long time. So I think it is good to have good friends around so that you can have a good break and then start studying after that again.
No, why I specifically made a mention of that particular fact is because I do get the privilege of interacting with a lot of people who have just entered medical schools, maybe a year back or a couple of years back. Since students do not get an opportunity to socialize with each other on a regular basis, as used to be the case earlier. A lot of them are actually having the privilege of not staying in the hostels. A lot of them are coming as day scholars. So that school mentality, sometimes just gets into the professional colleges as well. That I should be studying alone and should not be sharing my resources, lest it may hamper my own result in the longer run. Or why should I be sharing this particular thing with you? But then as human beings, I think Dr. Praveen would be giving us his insight that we all have our natural social needs as well. And it is always good to pick up your friends intelligently and carefully. And once you are with your peer group, I think it does make a lot of sense because they take off a lot of pressure when especially you are having your bad days. They are going to be supporting you when you're having your good days as well. And then, as in case of Dr. Armaan and in a lot of other people, it does happen that at the end of the day, when the results are declared, a good number of them are doing exceedingly well. So I think with Armaan, we had Dr. Srishti also. Armaan, you got 23. I think Srishti got 32. So it's always a win-win situation for everybody. And I think that is usually the icing on the cake.
MAMC, as a matter of fact, has been one of the colleges which has always been performing very well. And that has got to do with the students, of course, but also the culture. That culture where, group of students compete with each other, not in a negative manner, but more in a positive manner, compete with each other, get encouraged by each other. And the same thing happens from the juniors to seniors to juniors. So I think many students who come from, colleges not as big as MAMC or AIMS or Savalgan, sometimes they ask what is so different about these colleges. So it's not that they have different teachers or different libraries. It's the culture, and the culture is what is continuing to deliver such kind of great results year after another. So
Dr. Praveen, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just getting certain questions over here. There are people who are expressing the fact that suppose for some reason they are not lucky enough to be, or for some reason, I mean they are not in a place where we say such a culture is existing. Can they do something about it? On top of it, we got a question from Dr. Nishtha Agarwal. Dr. Armaan, could you please share your basic timeline? See, people are obviously very likely to be impressed by the fact that you have been a consistent performer, Armaan, and exam on exam, it is a very, I would say, a matter of a tremendous achievement to get that kind of a rank. So if you could just very briefly share with us the kind of timeline that you used to have, because that is what a lot of people are going to be saying. So Aditya Singh from AMC is congratulating you, Dr. GLE, congratulating you, Dr. PS, Dr. Shivang. If there are any more questions, we'll be more than happy to have it. But then
Dr. Ali is saying, Dr. Armaan, please give us honest review.
No doubt to that. In fact, I have sufficient amount of photographs, proofs, and the times that we have had with Dr. Armaan, right from the second year. So we have had a very good time because Armaan got a distinction in the subjects of pathology and pharmacology, and it was a feeling for us as if we got a distinction. It was really after a long time that somebody had broken that trend of getting a distinction. And knowing his other batchmates as well, this is an absolutely crystal clear and honest interview. No doubts to that. So Armaan, coming back to the question, could you
Yeah.
please share your basic timeline? That's a question put up by Dr. Nishta Agarwal.
The basic timeline means the basic routine, day routine.
Maybe that is what she intends to ask. Dr. Nishta, if you can be kind enough to let us know if that is what you intend to ask.
Yes, so I think I will share my timeline first. So I'm from 2016 batch. So I started the first time I ever took any classes outside of my college was in my second year. So at that time I attended Dr. Sparsh and Dr. Jiaji sir's classes. And that time I attended the entire year course. So I used to make notes in that time and also continued studying my college textbooks and everything. So, and the first time I started my PG preparation properly was in my third year. And then at that time, I made notes like everyone else does. And up until my final year, I was just studying my college subjects well, reading my notes side by side, but also focusing on studying my the standard textbooks so that I could have a good grasp on these contents. And then finally, during my internship time, I focused more on attempting building the Q bank, revising my notes. Even though internship was quite hectic, but I think I still found some time in between to give some grant tests, keep solving the question bank, do some tests and discussions. So it was, I wouldn't say it was like I finished from the starting to the end ever, but I think I was more consistent on the areas I knew I was weak in. So I think it was important to review my grant tests properly. Even when I was solving the question banks, I used to pay close attention upon the topics I was weak on, so that then the next time I would open my notes, I would know what to read properly and what not to, because time crunch was always there. And then that was up until my last year's INI exam. After that, I had been preparing for my USMLE exam. So this time I was even in during the middle of my preparation for step two. I just gave the exam so that I would know how my grasp on topics is. So that's why I gave this year's paper. But I'm majorly preparing for my USMLE step two right now.
So very well said, Dr. Armaan, and I think that answers Dr. Ishan Jain's question, because he actually asked the same question: why did you actually write the exam again? Because you got a decent rank. Couple of questions, if you can be kind enough to share your insight about them, Dr. Armaan. Dr. Celestial Attackers is asking you, how many hours do you use to study during last month? I think we have talked about this particular fact time and again. It is, as we say, please don't count the number of hours, make the hours count. So whatever duration of time you're sitting in that library or your reading room, make sure that you are there with your full undivided attention, rather than looking at a watch and claiming that you studied for 12 hours or 14 hours or 16 hours on a day. So I think that would not be too helpful. The other question put up by Dr. Darshan is that I am particularly weak, and subjects for the first and second year are especially hard for me. Can you just suggest me something to cope up with them? Would you like to give something as an insight?
Yes, I think if you feel that you are weaker in those subjects, especially first and second year, and if you have the time, I would say that you either attend any teacher's class, whichever teacher's class you would want to attend, and make notes from scratch. Because I think if you feel your concepts are weaker, it is important to have good notes in that, and even more important is listening to someone's class who gives the concepts well. So that is the first step. And once you are over with that, then you can go through the notes and start solving questions so that you can know how well you have understood the topics, and then go back to the notes for the topics you've not understood well, and then finally assess by giving some tests. I think that's the way to go about it.
Armaan, just a question from my side. As you rightly pointed out that there's always a time crunch. And as you must have seen in the last 2-3 years, the problem has changed. There's a problem of plenty that students are grappling with. So this whole FOMO thing that we keep on talking about, that a student starts preparing and wants to cover everything, and in the end realizes that there is no time to cover everything, and ends up performing much poorly than what he could have had he timed the preparation properly. So do you have any suggestion for such juniors of yours who are still, on one hand they understand that the time is limited, on the other hand they're afraid that they would miss out on to something important? Any suggestions for those students?
So I think the first thing to understand is that it is never possible to complete the whole course. I don't think any of us would ever complete the whole course before any exam, even if we have unlimited time. But I think it is very important to choose one resource, whichever resource the student has complete faith in, and then just not look around here and there. Just have complete trust in that source and just finish that from start to end as many times as possible. Rather than going for something you might have missed, it is better to read that resource again and again so that you can at least master that. I think even if there are plenty of resources, all of them have the basic material in common. And so it is important to master that. I don't think the 2 or 3 things which differ in 2 resources would ever make a difference in rank.
Very, very nicely said.
So
And
I
as
think the major parts of whatever the student queries have been taken care of. And thank you so much, Dr. Armaan, for taking out your precious time, because as he rightly made a mention of the fact, he is likely to appear for his step 2 exam very shortly. And from all of us over here at Team Cerebellum, we would wish him to do exceedingly well over there as well. So all the very best.
we will call him back once he scores 217 step 2, and we will ask him to share his strategy for getting a 217 step 2.
Absolutely. We can then always have a small discussion, or rather a detailed discussion with him about how to go about preparing for the USMLE and stuff, wherein he can guide the juniors really well. Thank you so much for your time, Armaan, and God bless you with more success and health. And do convey our best regards to your family members as well.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Many congratulations, Dr. Armaan.
Many congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.